Hey everybody, it's ProbablyRed. Today we are going to jump into an expedition. See, I got two Primal starters I've been, looking at. Also got Shadow starter ready, but today is Primal starter. I'm super excited for this build. It's really similar to the Falling Skies deck that I built, but with a lot of limitations. It's still in the Expedition format. Let me just go ahead and say that right now. For Expedition 14, I'm sure a lot of the cards will carry over, but it might be a completely different, completely different format. That's why I like Expeditions, constantly changing. Anyways, so we're gonna go over the cards real quick, and we're gonna jump into some games, kind of showcase the deck, see what makes us win, what kind of hands to keep, what mistakes are lead to failure sometimes in a game. Hopefully we'll see all of that. Well, hopefully I won't lose all of them, or lose a bunch of them. Hopefully I'll do pretty good, but hopefully we'll see a lot of different situations this deck can be in. Real quick, I'm going to go over the rares slash legends that I've included. I also want to note for this and for future beginner deck techs, these might not be the cards you start with, but I'm pretty sure they are included in the beginning rares. I mean, they've changed them over time. I know that you'll get Eileen if you started after a certain point. Like if you're starting like 2 days ago, like a week ago even, you'll get Eileen Fearless. If you started way back and then you're just getting back into it, you'll have the 8-drop Eileen. Eileen Fearless is in here. I think this is a great version of Eileen. Okay, other Primal units having +1/+1, that's awesome. And then of course the drawing 2 on attack, the flying 6/6 body, everything here is peak. Like, this is some good stuff. Also, I've included Eileen's Frost Rider. I'm pretty sure you get a copy for just playing the tutorials, but I have no idea, honestly. I believe. I know you get crystallized. I almost can guarantee. If you didn't get crystallized, comment in the comment section, hey, I didn't get a crystallized. But I'm also pretty sure Eileen's Frost Rider is one of them. 6-cost 4/4 flying body. And enters, it does kind of a stun effect, double stun, like Water Conjuring does, a similar effect. But it's attached to a 4/4 flyer, which is a pretty good card, pretty solid. Nice tempo play, really, really solid. Okay, and then we got Crystallize. This is a nice, okay, stop. Like, everything stops. Stun every opponent. There's a couple of weaker, smaller units, they just die. They're annihilated. But for the most part, you can get through if you're in the mirror match and you're fighting a flying deck, stops all flyers. If you're getting aggroed out and you just need a turn, like you hit turn 5, you have your Crystallize, you got lucky and drew it. Boom, you drop your Crystallize. Late game, you're in a board stall. You can pop a bunch of Aegises to make your other stuns work. You can just swing through a board, not worry about retaliation. This is a great card for that kind of situation. And it's nice to have one of these. So let's go through the other cards real quick. And then, I guess I did kind of go over those, but I'll revisit that when we get to them. I'll just kind of possibly give a little bit of a quip on how it fits into the deck with other cards. Okay, so Cloud Snake Hatchling, strictly better than Humbug, which is the 1/1 flying for 1 in time. And it's kind of a ping prevention, having that extra toughness. Now, it might seem like, wow, okay, this is a beginner's deck, why are we running the Hatchling? It's not that great of a card most of the time, you don't ever see it. But in this deck, there is some synergies that make this card worth it. In particular, we'll be seeing a little bit more of that talk in Windshaper and an Eileen Fearless. Those are the 2 cards that make this card very runnable. Also, just so you know kind of how it's functioning in the deck, it's a pinger. You're constantly getting that damage in from turn 1. Gives you something to play on turn 1. That's why it's worth running. Yeah. So Shifting Illusion. Similar to the other card, instead of having ping prevention, so it can't get one damage on it and just boom, it's gone. This has Plunder, which is a lot better. This is a whole lot better than Cloud Snake Hatchling, in my opinion. Plunder's really good in this deck because it can fix your draws. You get a hand with like your goal is to really get to 4 in this deck. You want to get to 4. If you can get to 5, 6, 7, that's great. It'll happen eventually. Your real goal is to get to 4. This deck starts getting pretty darn good. There's a lot of options at 3, but 4 is your goal. You'll see why in a minute. But what this can do is, if you get flooded and you just have sigil, like 2 shifting illusions and 5 sigils is a keepable hand, because you can turn those sigils into draws to keep drawing and drawing and drawing. And you have your pingers to deal damage in the meanwhile. And they're good at chump blocking like a 5/5 in the air, or even like a 5/5 on the ground if it doesn't have overwhelm. So it's a useful little card here. And then if you need sigils and you have like a 2 sigil hand that you want to keep, and you got like shifting illusion, and then like 3 cards that are too expensive to play until the mid to late game, you can go ahead and drop that shifting illusion and turn your most expensive card into a sigil to smooth out your draw. So that's why Plunder is great. I really think it's necessary for this deck to run the shifting illusion, especially when you're limiting yourself to commons and uncommons and then a couple of rares and 1 legend, you know? So let's go on to Sky Serpent. I've talked about this card in the past and other deck techs. This card is fantastic. So you got your triple Primal as a cost. You can get triple Primal pretty decently. It's not an all the time thing. It's nice when it happens that you could drop this on turn 2, because man, turn 2 3/3 flyer is amazing. You're just like, okay, if you don't have a spell that can kill this or hinder this, like with a decay, it's not going to be good for you. This can end your opponent in a very short span of time. Yeah, like 8 or 9 turns by itself if you can get through unimpeded. But either way, it's going to deal a lot of damage. If this hits twice, you're putting your opponent at 19. Great card. Also, it blocks pretty well, trades pretty well, and it's a 2 cost. Since this is mono primal, this is the deck it needs to be in. Ice Sprite. Normally I don't run Ice Sprite. It's a 3 cost 1/2 flyer. When you summon it, it stuns an enemy unit, and it stays stunned while you have the Ice Sprite. So the reason I don't run this a lot is because against fire and shadow, it's very weak. It just like, if they're trying to like get through, they can just remove this so easily. Which is a huge downside for Ice Sprite. But in this deck, since there's not too many options, and the fact that it has flying makes it runnable. And what its effect is very strong. It's just, in certain situations, you can just be like 1 for 1 really easily. Yeah, having 2 health is a real big downside, but it's not the end of the world. There's not as many like, you know, lightning storms running around right now. At least I don't see them. So it's okay. It's not too bad. And we're not running lightning storm, so we don't have anything to worry about there. Brood of Aramont. This is a card I would almost never run in Expedition, which is kind of a theme. You'll notice Primal isn't being given as many cards at the lower rarities as the other ones. Primal's generally a support faction, but this deck, it has a bunch of unimpressive cards that add up to one really impressive end product for the rarity and for the actual individual cards. So this 4 cost is flying 3/3. It's not the end of the world. You wouldn't want to run a 5 cost 3/3 flying in a constructed deck. It's more of a draft card. This is just good enough to get by, especially with the synergies. It just is like a Sky Serpent for twice the cost and 1 less influence. So it fills very much the same role, except it's just a little bit slower. This is the reason we're running flying units. Everything that can be is a flying unit in this deck. Got some spells too, because there's not enough flying units that are runnable, like to go up past 30. 30 is a lot of units, to be honest. It's a good amount of units. Windshaper, your units have flying, with flying have +1/+1. An amazing effect for this deck. There's no way in this deck to make Windshaper flying unless you happen to like invoke and roll a levitate or something. But it does give the bonus to itself if that is the case. And a 2/4 body is nice to slow down the enemy board. Don't block if you're at if your opponent has power up though, because if that happens and then they have like a combat trick and like buff their unit with a finest hour, for example, your Windshaper's gone, and then all of your units turn from really decently statted for their cost to, you know, a little bit below rate. So this card is great. This card's fantastic. You would love to have one of these in opening hand, even though it's a 4 cost. But this is like the top that you want. This is what you want to get to. This is why you want to be at 4. You don't play for the body of this unit. You play for the ability. So there you go. This is the point of the deck. It shouldn't be called Primal Starter. It should be Primal Starter Windshaper. That's the whole big deal. I love this card. And it's good enough. And it's definitely, it definitely has an effect that is worth running and constructed, I think. I ran it in my other. I have a Primal Time, kind of like a upgrade 2 expedition deck that I highly recommend you check out. It's the Falling Skies deck, and this deck pretty much will turn into that deck. But it's an Elysian, which is time and Primal. Primal Incarnation. This card is extremely impressive, especially with the symbols. Let me just showcase the symbols real quick. With symbols, this card gets amazing. If you're swinging in with a 7/3 in the sky, it is terrifying for your opponent. And it's a nice little 5-drop, you know? It's good to have something to play on turn 5 reliably. It's a flying unit, so it does get that Wind Shaper buff. Great card, great card. It is a little bit delicate to removal, though. Like, Seer, just, it's annihilated. You just lost your 5 cost. But, you know, and of course, Annihilate, for example. That's another way of it being gotten rid of. It's a good way for your opponent to get rid of it. There we go. And then we've already talked about Alien's Frost Rider. It's nice to have a 4/4 turn into a 5/5. You can get that Wind Shaper out. And just stunning your opponents to get through your flyers if they have flyers. Eileen is just like another Wind Shaper, but costs more because all of your Primal units get that +1/+1 bonus. And she fills your hand up with more stuff. She's a humongous flyer herself. This card is freaking amazing for this deck. It's awesome. Then we're going to get into our spells. Permafrost is a curse that stuns the cursed unit for as long as it is cursed. The reason this is better than Ice Sprite is because it's a lot harder to remove a curse than it is to remove a unit. So this is just fantastic removal. And it's a 1 cost. That's another reason it's better than Ice Sprite. Yeah, so this is just great removal. You'll notice we're not running the 3-cost 5/5, which if you're missing a couple of the cards and you just want something on the ground to slow down your opponent, you could definitely run the 3-cost 5/5 Prism Golem, I think is what it's called. Gets -2/-2 for each influence you have. Starts at 7/7. You know the card. We're running a colorless card, but it's different. It's called Besiege the Throne. So this draws a card and then you plunder for 2. No. It's a 2-cost spell. Draw a card, then plunder. Don't plunder for 2. I don't even know what that would mean. Plunder twice. Anyways, no, it's not what it does. Draw a card, then plunder. There we go. So this is pretty good. It's definitely slower. Since there's not a lot of Primal playables, we just needed this card to kind of smooth out the draw. We got plenty of units. It plays a similar role to Wisdom of Elders, or kind of like Shifting Illusion. There we go. Can't talk today. But that plunder, sometimes you will just skip out on the plunder. If your hand's perfect after that draw, or if you late game get Besiege the Throne, you draw a card and then turn the Primal Sigil you drew that you don't need anymore into another draw, pay 2 more, draw a card, and then hopefully you get something you need, or like a Wind Shaper off the top, or a removal spell for something that's about to kill you. You know, that kind of thing. Speaking of kill spells, Biting Winds. You'll notice on the curve, see right here, there's a deficit on 2 cost. You could run Lightning Strike instead of Biting Winds, but there's a lot of 5 health units out there that need the Biting Winds to get them destroyed. That's why the Biting Winds is good. The Lightning Strike is kind of garbage because it's real easy in Expedition to get 5 health units that are solidly statted that you just, it's like, what am I going to do against this? I can't find a Permafrost. All I got is Lightning Strike. No, Biting Winds does it. This card's pretty good, even though it kind of messes up your curve and has way too many 3-drops in it. Water Conjuring is a pretty decent card. You get to stun 2 enemy units, and then you can lose a maximum power permanently, which in the late game it doesn't matter. Even in the mid game, if you're like, okay, I'm at 5 power, I can still cast a Wind Shaper if I top deck it. No big deal, I need this card. You can invoke some legends, you can invoke some rares. It doesn't see rarity. It can invoke anything, you know, and it's not like percentile. It's how many copies of a card in Expedition are legendary. That's what it looks at, and it just like pulls. So you have like a, I don't know exactly, but like a 25% chance to draw a legend, depending on how many legends are in there. I think there's less legends than there are commons. I'd have to look. But there's some pretty gnarly cards you can get, and you don't want to get something you can't cast the next turn. That's another thing. Like if you get like an 8-cost card that's like makes your opponent not be able to cast spells or something, doesn't even matter, because you're not gonna be able to play it unless you're like decimating into 8 power. You want to be decimating and then grabbing even a 1 cost. If it doesn't do much, it doesn't matter. If you have like 4 power and then maybe you draw one off the top, you could take a 5 power card if it's significantly better than the other castable cards. So this is going to give you 3 options. You're going to have a choice of a unit, you're going to have a choice of an attachment, and you're going to have a choice of a spell. All Primal. So, pretty good card. Wisdom of Elders. So there's not a lot of like fast speed stuff you can do. So the fact that this is fast doesn't really matter, except for if you have like Biting Winds or Wind Conjuring. So what you do is if you have a Biting Winds in your hand or Wisdom of Elders, they swing in, and you don't want to use the Biting Winds, you can just Wisdom of Elders at the end of turn. But you need to keep in mind you can do this as a slow spell, and especially if there's no difference. Like if you don't have a Biting Winds or a Water Conjuring, it doesn't matter. Just cast it on your turn then, so you have more options. If you missed your sigil drop, that's hard to say. If you missed your sigil drop, then Wisdom Elders can get that for you. You can get some more cards to play if you just have power. Like if you have 6 power and you have a Wisdom Elder, just play it, because you might be able to draw some stuff. You don't want to wait till the end of your opponent's turn unless you have a Water Conjuring or Biting Winds in your hand, and if it matters. So just look at the board state and think about that. Okay, next, Crystallize. We already talked about that. Super good card, and you can definitely wreck your opponent with this card. It's nice when you're behind, and it's nice when you're at parity with your opponent. Primal Sigils, simple. You play them, and then you get some awesome Primal cards, and your Cobalt Waystone. This gives you Aegis. This is definitely a lot more situational. If you're running 2 factions, you probably wouldn't run a Cobalt Waystone, maybe one of or something in case you need to Aegis. It does come up though, like if someone's trying to finish you off, you're at like 2 health, and they're trying to like I don't know, corrosive rounds you or something, or you're at 3 and they're trying to sear you to death. There's Darkfire, like, or no, not Darkfire. I think Darkfire hits your unit. Anyways, I'd have to look at Darkfire. I haven't seen it too much. What's the other one? Darn Tarnation. I can't think of the other card. Flashfire. If they flash fire you for like 9 damage, you have Aegis. Doesn't matter. All kinds of stuff this protects you from. So it's just nice to have Aegis sometimes, especially for free. And then Primal Symbol has a little bit of synergy with the deck. Mainly Sky Serpent and Primal Incarnation. Those are the cards you're looking to have that Primal Symbol for. So let's jump into some games. Boom. Okay. Notice I totally didn't even have my headphones in. Hopefully it wasn't like super loud or something, because that would be bothersome. Okay, so we're up against Kezi 12. Let's look at this hand. We got a Water Conjuring, so that's a little bit early interaction. Brood of Aramont isn't really the one of the 2 3/3 flyers we want to see. Yeah, we're already roping for the redraw, and we have a Shifting Illusion, so I think almost it's worth keeping. We're just going to go ahead and keep it. Reason being, wow, that's loud. Oh my gosh. Okay, I fixed the volume. Sorry for that. So we're gonna go Shifting Illusion. I know we kind of want it because it's an amazing card, but we got to get rid of this Frost Rider. It's just a 6 cost. We can't mess with that. Let's end turn. And Friendly Wisp could be very nasty for us. We're gonna swing in. No. Yeah, we're the aggressor, I would say, so far. But if they get a big drop and they can keep swinging on it, we're going to be having some problems. This is great. We want this, because they know we're being aggressive. And they think we're going to play a blocker. I really hope that they block. Yeah, that would have been a mistake. Oh, do it! Yes! Okay, so that means they probably don't have a big drop in their hand, but they could just as easily draw one. I don't really know exactly why they blocked, but in my opinion, that was a huge mistake. Alright, so we really don't have anything to do on turn 3. We don't want to invoke, or yeah, we don't want to decimate early. Ooh, what's this? You play a 5-cost spell. Okay. So we're gonna play our Brood of Aramont ASAP. This isn't gonna do us too much good because there's not too much to stun. That's really gonna be a big deal. We'll hold it up. We don't want to decimate early for that random card because we want to get to our 4 or 5, and then we want to go back down after we've played our cards because we want to be able to play our cards. You know. Let's go ahead and get Aegis. There's not too much stuff in time except for, yeah, there's not too much stuff in time that I can think of. Also, you want to play your flyer before you play your Windshaper, because then you can swing with the extra damage on there. So we're going to go in. Hopefully they don't have one of those Scorpion Wasps. Awesome. So now we're getting some damage in. That's a good rate. 4 cost for 4/4. That's awesome. Even though we also had to play another 4/4. But what can we hold up? We got. Let's go Primal. Ooh, yeah, let's go Primal Soldier because what we can do since this is fast is we can swing in even with Windshaper, and if they do play like a buff or something, we can just stun it so they leave combat. And aren't dying to deadly if they like play a super like a what do they call it? Desert Alchemist. We're just gonna go Beseech Throne now. We're gonna draw, and then we can just go ahead and transform that into a draw, and we'll draw again. You know, like a expensive Wisdom of Elders, and then we could stun this so we don't get swung on. Because there's not a lot of flying, but I feel like we could just like preemptively do that. And then next turn we got Crystallize up, which would kind of defeat the purpose, but it's just like a backup. And we have so much stun in our hand that we can just keep getting through with damage. So they weren't able to imbue because they couldn't exhaust this, which is great. We might want to save the symbol. We're going to swing in, and then we'll see what they do. They have some kind of like buff, or they're going to chump block, something like that. Okay, so it puts them at 9. I think we want to just go ahead and stun, because we can invoke. We might have something playable. Sure, we'll just, it's already stunned, but we'll just stun it. Okay, and we can get another Crystallize, which would be fine. Ooh, Jaral Ascending. 4 Primal, when it attacks, draw a card, discard unless it's a spell. If you got a bunch, ooh, we have 6 Primal. It's a 3/5 with Berserk. Also shift at the end of the turn, transfer the Wilderness or random unit with a cost 1 more. Kind of like that. A lot of options, and of course another Crystallize would be good. Let's get Jaral Ascending, that'll be interesting. And then, what does it do at 8? When you play a spell, deal its cost to the enemy player. Okay, yeah. Alrighty. Oh, we got a nice little ground unit there, and our opponent's stuff is done. Crystallize will just deal 5 to their face. Actually, yeah, 5 to their face, kill that. Oh, yeah, this is going to be fantastic. See what you can do with Invoke? Invoke's gnarly. Yeah, just like invoking that legend off of there. Perfect. It was a bit overkill, because we already had the Crystallize, but hey. It'd be good in a situation where it wasn't overkill and like they were gaining life or something like that. Ooh, 7 game wins in any mode. Awesome. Okay, we're up against Freen. Okay, this hand's not exactly that great. We got a couple of interactions. We can just drop the Eileen's Frost Rider, because it's the highest cost card. It's playable, but it's just not fantastic. Let's try it out and see where it goes, you know? See if this is a mistake to keep or not. Because it's playable. That's the big thing here. We got a couple of nice big stuff, like Primal Incarnation we can get to. Ooh, Stone Scar. Okay. Let's go. We always want to play this as late as possible, because it gives you the chance to actually get the Aegis. And you want to play your symbols early, unless you have a play, because then you don't have to worry about it being depleted. You can avoid that altogether. Top unit of your deck gets plus attack equal to this unit's attack. Oh, so permafrosting that doesn't affect it, and all we're doing is getting rid of a 1/1. We want to get rid of the units that have gotten the buff and that are a threat on their own. If we can get rid of this with some other spell like a Crystallize, that's a good deal. Because that's the kind of utility creature that Crystallize really is nice against. Like, oh my gosh, yeah, the recent nerf to poor old Darkblade Cutpurse here, yeah, that is a reason to be happy. We almost want to permafrost it now, but we're going to go ahead, we're going to take the aggressor's damage, and we're just going to get a super big win with that Crystallize. If they equip a weapon, then we're still getting a good deal. Oof, that's a lot of damage. Yeah. Alright, so at least there's a bright side to this. Swing it for 1. Nice thing about Crystallize is it doesn't damage our own units. A lot of Primal spells are like full on everybody, all the board, you know? Alrighty, let's go with our Incarnation. We do want to play another Sigil, because that'll make this a 7/3. We probably just should have swung in first. So that crystallized did like get rid of some of their utility and a huge threat. So it was worth the card. And it gave us a little bit of time from getting pinged by this unit. Okay, yeah, we'll take the damage there. Let's see. Okay, we got a cloud stick catching, that's fine. Any little bit helps. Ooh, they got something. They got something. Seer? They're gonna seer my 5/1? Okay. I can see that. That's fine. We'll keep this Primal Sigil. I don't see them doing a bunch of damage. I'd rather just get rid of that one unit that would basically stop both of them, like the big unit they could play to buff this. Stop that even though we're taking a bigger hit, because that gets rid of this buff and that unit. Like even just a 2/2 quick draw is worth the permafrost now. At this point, because that buff isn't permanent, we don't have to worry about that. We have to worry about this giving the buff. So now that we have an extra to like you know, plunder away, we're good to go. We got them on a 2-turn clock. Even if they get rid of my Cloud Snake and can't get rid of my 6/1 incarnation, we can still get them. But if they get rid of the incarnation, then yeah, we have a 7-turn clock now. It's a big transformation there. Oh, see, I totally misplayed. It gets the bonus because it doesn't permanently remove. That's one of the disadvantages of permafrost. So we're going to go ahead and permafrost that. Hopefully they don't play out something crazy. They haven't hit 4 power yet, so they are getting kind of power screwed, as you would say. They're the opposite of Flood. We'll go with Primal Symbol, because the symbols do matter if we get another incarnation. We are getting them down pretty low in health. That helps a lot. Next turn we got them. Unless they top deck a kill spell, and then they're on a 4-turn clock instead of a 1-turn. They have a lot of cards but no power. Good game. Well played, Freen. And it sucks that they got power screwed, but it's good for us in this scenario. Sometimes it happens like that. Okay, we're up against Saint Mike 29. Alrighty. Ooh. So this is a hand we needed those shifting illusions to actually get rid of some of these cards that we can't play. Which we would not have gotten rid of Windshaper. We probably would have gotten rid of Water Conjuring. But no, we can't play on 1 power. We'll go ahead and switch a Rooski here. And this seems okay. It's going to take a minute for everything to get online. We'll start with a Primal Symbol. And then we'll start dropping some sigils and get an Ice Sprite to slow down their attack. So we'll draw something that we can play on them in the meantime. Heck, we'll get rid of Crystallize. Ooh, now that helps us a lot. Besiege the Throne. Boom. Alright, let's see what we draw. And honestly, I would rather have playables than playable units than a Crystallize at this point. Because we might never see 5 power. Just like we saw our opponent last game didn't get past 3 power, which can really suck. But oh, and then this gives us something really good to play. Sky Serpent's great. That puts some pressure on the board. Next turn we'll have a Brood of Aramont, and then after that we'll play Windshaper. Or if they play something really nasty, we'll have to stop it with Ice Sprite. Time is weakest to Ice Sprite, I would say, and compared to any other. Ooh, we could see a Scorpion here. Well, not so bad. I'd much rather see Dune Phantom. Doesn't mean our unit will live. It does mean that, oh yeah, it does mean we can just stun it in a minute. At this point now I got 2 flyers. I'm just going to hurry up and I'm going to get this Windshaper out. And I'm going to swing in and start pushing some damage, because our opponent's going to be playing some gnarly, nasty, big stuff. Like, that really messes with us. At least we traded. So that slowed us down a bit. We're just going to go ahead and permafrost that. It is stopping us dead in our tracks. There are going to be some bigger threats, but if they are big enough to start attacking, at least the Biting Winds can deal with them. Oh, we still got Ice Sprite, you know. Which we're not going to play, because they didn't play a unit. Ugh. I bet you they're going to... Oh, okay. Not You know, a 2/3 for 3. We're gonna, since we have 2, this might be a misplay, but since we have 2, we're gonna play it to like apply a little bit of pressure. Now our opponent has a lot of cards in their hand. If they get what they need, they get their power, and they start playing these big units that time tends to have, it can be really bad for us. That's not so bad. I almost don't even want to ice sprite it, but hey, we gotta do what we gotta do. It's nice that we got a little bit more value off of that than we did from our last ice sprite. We might have really, honestly, just misplayed with this ice sprite. I should just waited, but I don't know. I definitely feel like I'm the aggressor in this matchup currently. Swirl the sands, put an enemy relic cursor unit flying on the bottom of its owner's deck. Oh, that's an interesting card. Let's go shifting illusion. We don't want a sigil. Do we want a sigil? Nah, we don't want a sigil. So we can't really attack into a 1/3 decay reasonably. So it's actually really good against us. Okay. Oh, okay. They're playing very defensively. It's an interesting build. So if they do suddenly become the aggressor, we do have some anti-aggressor tools here. Ooh, not what we're looking to see. We'll definitely attack him with our 7/4 when we get a chance. With the 7/7, we can take one hit just to get the chance to apply some pressure. We will have some nasty big attacks in a minute here. Humbug Nest, that's a good card. Turn back time's also pretty solid. Get you pretty much, oh my gosh. He's gonna take care of our 7/4 with that spell. Oh wait, I didn't see if it was fast. I'm just gonna assume it is. Yeah, let's go with that. Okay, no, it wasn't. Good. So that gives us an opportunity to get rid of that timekeeper. And now they get rid of whatever they want. I can see them definitely wanting to get rid of the sprite. But this at least lets us get in with an attack. There's no point in attack with this because they'll just block here. That's why there's like almost no ground units in this deck, because if your deck is mainly flyers, then a ground unit's just going to turn on their ground blockers. Windshaper's an exception because it synergizes with the flying cards. Put an enemy relic cursor unit with fly. Oh, yep. Okay, so that is a slow spell, right? It's a fast spell. Wonder why they didn't use it when I blocked. That's no big deal. Draw a card and do some plundering. Yeah, I want to draw some more cards. I hope I don't draw like a 7-drop or something. This is perfect. So you have the decay back. Let's go ahead and end turn. We'll play this as a 2-cost 4/4, which is fantastic. Body and rocks, very solid. It's gonna be hard to kill that even with the biting winds. We're gonna have to like double block or something. Let's play the Sky Serpent so we can biting winds. And we'll just end turn. Okay, yeah, well, that makes this a little bit harder. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go here, boom, and boom, block. Then we're kind of getting 3 for 1, but he did use some resources to kind of mess with these, and then the biting winds. You gotta get rid of the big stuff, or they're gonna just destroy us. This is a big threat that we would like to be able to get rid of ASAP, because next turn they'll be turning it on. I can block with the 0/6 really easily. We're in a pretty big predicament right now. If they do turn that into an 8/8, we will have to Binding Winds and lose one of our units. Which we can't do this turn. So we'll just... ouch. Go 15. And it's nice to have Aegis. We'll end turn. Oof. See, now they're just... Now that they can play those, it's just like boom, boom, threat after threat after threat. It's pretty messed up. They're wrecking us now. But there's still a chance. Now we have enough to play Eileen off the top, which Eileen would help out a pretty good deal, I would say. Okay. Come on. So we're taking 4, going 11. Killed their 8/8 with Endurance. A Permafrost would be good. That's not a Permafrost. We can chump block with the Cloud Snake, and then we're going to take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage. They'll put us at 4. We got to get some. We need a miracle. I'm pretty sure we got rid of our Crystallize early, like with Blunder. So, Crystallize wouldn't win us the game. It would just slow the enemy down. There we go. At least somewhat gives us a chance, I guess. Erp. Yeah. Okay. That didn't work out too well for us. But good game. Well played, Saint Mike 29. Well played. We got stopped. I was saying how good time or those ice sprites are against time, and it did not perform. We're up against King John II. Okay. So we could keep this. We would probably get rid of the water conjuring, because you don't want water conjuring when you're really low on stuff, like on sigils. So we could keep it. We got some playability. We just really need to get to 3, and it would be nice if we could get to 4. So we're gonna guarantee ourselves at least getting to 2. And we gotta top deck that 3rd, or we are in big trouble. Or we get a another plunder card, like Beseech the Throne or Shifting Illusion again. Okay, there we go. Hey. Just do. Oh, not very fond of that card. Even in a sacrifice deck, I don't think it's particularly strong. We'll be doing the Shadow Commons and well, I mean, if you have a bunch of sacrifice stuff, I guess. Let's go with Sky Serpent. And then, Permafrost doesn't do much against that. Hey Mom, I'm filming. Sorry. Yes, please. That sounds great. Yes, yes. Whatever you said first, McDouble. Sorry. I'm just recording. Love you, bye. Sorry, everybody. Hopefully I figured a way to get that out. But if not, well, that was weird. Okay. What am I doing here? I guess we'll stun this. And then end turn. Alright, I was distracted. My bad. Okay, they're using some Devour tactics. Alright. Ooh, a Direfang Spider. Okay, now that's a card I can get mine. I think that's pretty solid card. It's not for every deck, but it's pretty strong. So far, we really would like to see 4 power. It would really help. I'm not even going to bother permafrosting any of that. We can take the 3 damage a turn. As long as they're not getting interaction and like wiping out our units, we're happy. They do have a lot of cards in hand, but so do we. The reason we do is because we don't have any sigils, though. Just 1 sigil, and we're online. Good to go. Let's see what our opponent's doing. We're probably upset. I had to stall out there for a second. I received a call. Sorry about that. So our opponent's probably a little bit like, what the heck? We'll just take the damage. Okay, so Primal symbol, that helps a good bit there. Let's attack. So next turn we'll be able to play, I'm going to go ahead and say we can go ahead and drop the Wind Shaper first to get in a bunch of damage. Mysterious Ways Down. Ooh, okay. So they're going to be siphoning health from us. Which is kind of a problem. Yeah, so we're going to do that because that's a pretty big buff. That's like that's a lot of damage. So next turn, if they kill this, we're good because we got these 2. And if they kill both of these, we're good because we have this. So we got a lot of outs here. Unless they kill like the 4/4 and a 2/3. Then we're kind of in a bad predicament. Or of course, okay, sacrifice 2. I'm going to get rid of these 2. That's perfect. They did gain life though. I think they'll actually gain more life here in a second. This is a point where we don't want that. And the permafrost ended up helping us out here. That was a weird game, I'll tell you what. Well played. Valley Rancher Gamer. Okay, I like that name. Nice. This is a keeper right here. We got a solid 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're starting with 3 power. What more could you want in a hand? Yeah, so this is smooth. We don't even need any plunder to smooth this out, which makes it even better. I'm feeling pretty good about this. Plus, we got our depleted power out of the way. And also, we'll have this out on turn 2. I can't say enough good things about that hand. Wisdom of Elders get us some more power to make sure our 4 and 5 come online in time. We're pinging for 3 along the way. We got Aegis. We're against a 3-faction deck. That's Time, Justice, Shadow. We're going to do this slow speed. Doesn't really matter. At least we can think about what we're going to play next turn. It's easy. The Brood of Aramont. And then we're going to be hoping and dreaming for Primal Incarnation to come out. Oof. Don't like that. That hurts. Let's swing in for 2 real quick. Okay. And then they'll be able to sack that next turn, which will take up a lot of their resources, which is kind of a good thing. We don't want to play this out because then that gives them opportunity to get some extra value off their Blight Moth, because it'll -1/-1 all the same named units. So this is a better case scenario for us. We're going to start off with Wisdom of Elders. We can play this anyways if we get a Sigil, and if not, we also have a backup. So we're going to swing first. They do have 1 open. I don't really know what it's for. Looks like nothing. Okay, we're good. So we got 3 differently named units. Ooh. Play a Justice Sigil. Okay. Nice little ramp piece there. I like that card. 4 up. They got 1 up. Let's swing in. We don't have anything that immediately gives us a buff on board, so we'll swing in, have our options open and hidden more from our opponent. They know we don't have a fast spell, I believe now. We'll go with this. And next turn we'll swing in for a good chunk of damage. Let's save another Blight Moth, and then we'll have our 2/2 and 3/3 flyers respectively turned into a 1/1 and a 2/2. Okay, Rolling Iron Fist has Decay and Endurance. When an enemy unit dies, that player, Valley Rancher Gamer, gets a 1/1 Silverblade Reaper with Flying and Deadly, and Roland gets a +1/+1 permanent buff. Okay. I gotta say, the Endurance is turning off our Permafrost, and it doesn't turn off Ice Bright for playing, but it does turn it off for having that stun, because you can't stun a unit with Endurance. We are going to get this out, and now they have any removal, they can really get some really strong plays against us. We can permafrost the 1/1s that they create though, so that might get us in for a little bit more damage. We could also, you know, ferry them. So it may look like a all hope is lost moment, which if they got a lot of removal, it could be, honestly. But we're in a scenario where we can fight off a lot of these deadly units for now. Because we need to. They can they can really hinder our game plan here. We can get our opponent to really low health, and we get like some way of stopping our opponent. We could be in pretty good shape. They swing in, we can't Biting Winds, unfortunately. Backbreaker got nerfed, but it's still pretty solid. That's a lot of health. And if they can keep killing units, this could be really bad for us. So what we can do, we're in a little bit badder, a little bit worse of a situation here than we were before. Let's go Shifting Illusion. Honestly, we don't want to. We want all these cards enough to keep them. So we get rid of one of these, swing in. Then we got enough for Biting Winds up so that we can stop their weapon, and that does a lot of damage, and the rest will carry over to face. Oh, I forgot that, because that's killing. Never mind. Anyways, this card's so good. What is this thing? Mauve. What? Slow down. Mauve. The first time you play another unit, and the first time you play a weapon each turn, draw a card. Ooh. Play all units if you summon into your deck with +4/+4. Okay, so they just shuffled all the units and weapons from there. Okay, so they don't have Aegis, do they? Okay, good. Yeah, so this is still a huge problem. We're taking a lot of damage, but they're drawing a lot of cards. Okay, so here we go. Oh, we're in a pickle, aren't we? Let's just skip. Stun this. We're so close. So close. We don't have Biting Winds up. They've got 4 cards, now 5 cards in their hand. There's a big potential that could be some removal in there. Yeah. That's kind of like removal. Ooh, that's definitely like removal. Drawn cards. Man, they got a setup over there. I definitely respect the deck that they're running. That looks fun, and that's intense. 3 factions, crazy card drawing, killing action. I gotta say, I don't like it. I don't like what's happening to us. And they're going in for the kill. Good game. Well played. Very well played. That was a fantastic match. Okay, so we're up against Silverwolf. This is our last match of the episode. Of the run. Of this deck tech. We were really wishing that this Cloud Snake Hatchling was actually a Shifting Illusion. I just want 8 Shifting Illusions in here. We can keep it, but it's kind of a sketchy hand, honestly. Like, we're going to see this as a mistake. It's nice that we have Island, but it's also not so nice. We're probably going to have to plunder our way at some point. But maybe this turns into a long game and we get to play Eileen. That would be perfectly awesome with me. Badlands Survivalist. Let's drop this. Get some snakes out. Flying snakes. Cloud Snake Hatchling. Okay. We can get a little bit of ping damage in there. See, it was so close. It was so close last game. Oh my gosh. I had some hope there. Yeah. That Roland really just decimated us. So once again, Permafrost isn't super good against Badlands Survivalists, so not really going to play that on it. We'll try to stop the threat that they build with the Survivalist trigger, the Surge. Things have just changed a little bit. Permafrost just became really good on the Badlands Survivalist because it just turned into a 5-1 with a strong Entomb ability. So this is kind of the opposite of scenario where Permafrost is especially good against stuff with Entomb, like Steelfang Chakram. But, oh, that Surge is going to get really nasty. We're in a pickle here. Oh my gosh, they broke Permafrost. No! Oh my gosh. We're getting our socks knocked off. This is just madness. Oh my goodness. Let's end turn. We got Water Conjuring up, and we'll block other Cloud Snakes if we have to. We gotta go on the defensive now. We're no longer the aggressor. Yeah. Each unit in your deck gets +1/+1. Summon the enemy player can't play units until the end of their next... Silverwolf's next turn. Okay. In that case, this is a good situation where we can play a fast Wisdom of Elders. Okay. Honestly, we're gonna go ahead and play in Decimate. Get rid of these. Well, we can't stun this, but okay. I don't think we're gonna be playing that. We're just gonna take a Lightning Storm. We're gonna end turn. Okay, so we're gonna block here and here because we're gonna stop them from getting those ridiculous surge bonuses. Holy mackerel. Okay, yeah. So we have a lot of cards in hand. Our opponent has a really nice board state going on there, and their top of their deck has some sick, nasty, gnarly cards going on as well. So we're gonna go ahead and Lightning Storm, get rid of 3 cards. They are gonna have a pretty nasty card follow-up though with that +4 weapon, Entomb. I'm not 100% sure that blocking is a good idea here, but I think we kind of have to. We'll block. No. We're going to live... Playing against Rakano, we'll take the damage. Might be risking too much here. Yeah, so we're going to play this, and we're not going to attack yet. We're not on the aggressor. We're not on the aggressive yet. It's going to take a little bit of work to get back into the attacker state. Not too much. What did they just do? Surge, Corrosive Daggers, and a couple of Rustlings. Okay. So that Rustling is going to get that bonus. Okay. That Chakram is a big problem. Okay. So what we're going to do is, I know we're close to playing Eileen, but we're kind of in a situation where we need to deal with this stuff right now. So stun. I kind of want the... What's this? We already have... Yeah, we're going to go with Windshaper. For now, we're going to attack. Hopefully they don't top deck something with Charge. That would be crazy bad for us. I mean, we're trying to outrace now because they could draw a burn spell and just wreck our socks off. What we're going to do here, I'm going to just drop a Windshaper. And we'll block. 33.6. This is ridiculous. Okay. Permafrost. Come on. Oh my gosh. I don't even know. This is... What the heck are we gonna do now? I don't even know. We don't need Eileen. It's not gonna happen this game. Holy mackerel. Okay. So we need to chump block that thing. We're gonna draw. I'll chump block with this. That's just insanity. I've never seen that big of a life stealer. They're at 13 too. Like, we actually did apply a bit of pressure. All that pressure is gone, and they've got us. That's good game. Holy mackerel. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click that like button, subscribe. I really appreciate it. We're going to do a little bit of wrap up real quick. Yeah, wow, Silver Wolf, they took the cake with that. That was excellent. We're just going to like discuss what thoughts on the deck. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at, we did see like everything seemed to work well. It is sort of clunky. The commons and uncommons that we're given, kind of leaves us having to use cards you wouldn't normally use. The unit base is actually surprisingly good. Where I kind of saw some problems, it's a slow deck that wants to be aggressive. So it's like aggro, but with support cards that would help a control deck or like a slow mid-range deck. So it's in a weird spot, but the cards are good. A lot of the cards are good cards. Wisdom of Elders is kind of a slower card. Beseech Throne. But the units are like aggressively statted or aggressively, like, I mean, not really aggressively statted, but they're flying units that want to get in for damage. And there's kind of like a flying tribal deck with the Wind Shaper. We never dropped Eileen, so we weren't getting too high in power, but that's kind of a side effect of running the Decimate cards, which did give us some good utility, and that's nice tempo play. Stunning 2 units, get rid of 2 units can really help. But a lot of our cards aren't affecting the board. That's kind of like what I noticed. Overall, though, the deck performed pretty darn well for our limitations. Primal, I think, is the worst off as a beginner deck, but if you love Primal, if you like the aesthetic, if you like the style of cards, and like how they play, then this is definitely the deck for you. You can run it, you can play it, and you can improve on it as you go. Like if you get gnarly new flying units, or